Welcome to Usha Talks. Life is beautiful. Today we have Abirami Ayer. She is a breast cancer survivor. This I didn't mention before because she has so many caps, so many hands. Women's everyone in their lives like they're doing multiple tasks. We cannot judge anyone. If they're smiling, if they're not smiling. There are so many beautiful stories in women's heart. So, Abhirami, she shared so many in her life journey through. Now she's gonna tell breast cancer. Tell me, like, when did you hit this on you?
hmm
Like, when did you know, like, okay, I have this problem?
Absolutely. So, like I said, my right breast had a change in shape.
Mm.
And I think it's just out of intuition, I was paying close attention. Initially, I discarded it's because, I'm hitting the gym and it's changing shape. And it's the first organ that changes most, right, for a woman as we go through these different phases. So, initially, I didn't take it seriously. And I was kind of, oh, it's going to be all right. And then the COVID lockdown happened.
Mm.
That's when I noticed there was a teeny tiny dimpling. So
Mm.
dimpling means like you have this in the orange. There is this small dip, right? That they call as a dimpling.
Mm.
So at one spot in my breast, that's even smaller than a size of a mustard, like very teeny tiny dimpling I saw,
Mm.
and I didn't know what to make out of it. There was no lump, no pain. I was generally in good health. I said, why not just go to primary care physician? It's been a while since,
Mm.
I've been there and, just get their expert help. So I go there. It was COVID time. So my primary care physician was not taking in-person appointments. So she would be in a different room and she would just do a video call and just ask some general questions. And then if there is a need, they would come in person because COVID was very bad at the time, 2020 lockdown. So we go through PAP on a regular basis, right? So
Right.
that is taken care of. But for the breast, the first mammogram is recommended only at age 40.
Okay.
Until women turn 40, it's usually not recommended. So I go there. Of course, my doctor goes through my family history. Nothing is there. Other health conditions, my blood work came out normal. No signs of warning over there.
Mm.
So she just said, "Oh, yeah, everything is looking good."
Mm.
Then I said, "Hey, doctor, can you come take a look at me in person? Because I feel something wrong with my breast." Then she said, okay, she'll come over. She comes, and then, of course, with all the precautions, and she manually checks my breast. A physician has to perform this. If you request, they are supposed to.
Right.
So she does the manual exam and she says there's nothing wrong. She couldn't find any lumps. And she asked me if there is any swelling in any other part of my neck or underarms. She checks all those areas. There was no swelling, no pain, no discoloration, nothing. So I'm going on with my life. But back at, in my head, something is bothering me.
Mm.
Something is bothering me. But few months again go by. Then I call my breast surgeon and I said, I'm not able to sleep. Is there any way you can just write for a mammogram?
Mm.
Let's just get the scan done so I can sleep peacefully.
Mm.
I said, okay, I will write it. And because of COVID, again, 2-3 months wait time,
Mm.
right? So I get the appointment and they do the mammogram for me.
Mm.
And the results come back. It was just a day before my 40th birthday that they find something suspicious
Mm.
and it looks cancerous. Of course, in no scans they will confirm it is cancer because according to the medical procedures, it is supposed to be confirmed only through a biopsy.
Mm.
So they asked me to follow up with a biopsy.
Mm.
So now I'm really terrified. Until that time, I am like, oh, I want to know what this is, right? I'm kind of pushing myself in the front to get this done, but now I'm shaking. My husband is a very sweet person, right? He doesn't talk a lot. He keeps things to himself, but he's a very sweet person. And there are other people that have been toxic, so I cannot open up. So I gather my strength. And I have to say, it was God's grace that at that time, the repartition flights from India opened up, and my mom was firm that she said she's going to come to US for my 40th birthday. And I kept telling her not to come because she's diabetic and diabetes has higher risk of COVID, right? So I asked her not to come. But she kept insisting, no, she wants to spend time with me for my 40th birthday. She took the repartition flight and she was there when the
Mm.
diagnosis was going on. So I go, and then the next step was a needle biopsy where they will actually take a sample of tissue from the suspected area, and they will put a marker in that place, because that's a marker that will guide them for further treatments in terms of surgeries and radiation. So they take a sample, put a marker there, that will stay there, and then they send it to the lab to do the required test. It will take about a week for the results to come, and then the results came, concluding that I have cancer, and it was invasive lobular carcinoma. So invasive means it has the potential to spread and it is fatal. That's a type of cancer. There is non-invasive, which means it doesn't spread, it stays local, and it doesn't pose you the threat of taking your life in some scenarios, right? It grows much slower. By the time we detect any cancer in any of this imaging, it's already been there for 10 years.
Oh.
We say it early, but it has to grow to a certain state and size for the imaging to pick up, and it happens typically after 10 years.
Okay.
So now I'm asked for a biopsy, the biopsy comes back, and then because of the nature of the cancer, right? It is sneaky cancer, it grows in the lobules. Even mammogram does not clearly tell the dimension of the cancer. So I was asked to go take MRI as a follow-up. So I had to do an MRI for them to get a better idea of whether it has spread to the nodes, what's the actual size, all these information need to be gathered. So the MRI comes in, and I was at stage 2. And everybody should be aware that all these diagnoses, right, the biopsy, the mammogram, and the MRI, they are guiding, but they are not conclusive even then. The surgery is the most conclusive one. When they cut you through and take the tissue out and send it to the lab, that's when you will know how big the cancer was, if it was just one type of cancer or many type of cancer.
Do you know exact number, like how many women are suffering with this breast cancers, like
Great question.
worldwide? I know, like there is so many numbers.
Yep.
Do you know exactly, like in USA or in like especially world, how many is getting treatment, how many is not? Do you know exactly the numbers?
Yep, according to Susan Komen, right, where they have publishing the data, 1 out of 8 women are getting diagnosed with breast cancer. That number is moving to 1 in 7, right? It's moving. So it's not conclusive, but there is an increase. And then women under 40 who are getting diagnosed is also on the rise. So everyone should be aware of this. Previously, it used to be women who have gone through their menopause in their 50s, in their 60s, but now not the case. Even younger women are getting diagnosed. So there needs to be a lot of awareness around this. So for me, I was told that only surgery is the most conclusive thing, right? But these are guiding principles to understand what is the type of cancer, what stage it is, what kind of potential treatments that you need to go through. So once the results are coming in, now I'm going into a shell. I'm going into a shell, complete denial mode. Until then, I was like, oh, I want to know. I'm like, I was thinking I was stronger. But I remember just locking myself down in the room, not wanting to talk to anyone, or crying for days, or fearing what's going to happen to me. I was always hoping for the better. With my son also, I was hoping for the better. But this one, I just, couldn't have the
We
hope.
can fight with the world sometimes, but we cannot fight with our inside of health
Yep.
sometime, right?
Yep.
It's not easy also.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And at one point, I was thinking, it's God's way of giving me relief from all the things that I was going through in my life. That's exactly how I processed it. I said I should just accept. And I told my mom, I'm not going to take treatments. I told my mom this. I said, I'm not going to take treatments. I take this as the freedom, or God has given me the final end to all the pain that I was going through repeatedly in my life. These exact sentences I told my mom. But my mom, she couldn't digest that. It was very hard for her.
No one can digest that. Like, yeah.
And I just resisted, honestly, going into treatment. So I knew what was coming. So I spoke to a couple oncologists, I was getting second opinions and whatnot. I was still pushing myself to go meet doctors, but inside I was just, going into the shell deeper into darkness. And then when everything, I understood what was going to happen, I shut down. I said, I'm not going to take any treatments. This is more painful. I should have at least have a peaceful death. No one should go through this pain and then die, because I was determined I'm going to die. Why go through this pain and die, right? At least let me have a peaceful death. In a few months, my mom put my foot down and said, enough with all your drama. You need to take your
Treatment.
just go. And she told me one thing that really hit me. She said, what kind of a mother do you want to portray for your children? Do you want to be someone who's afraid and gave up and just, did nothing? That's what they will remember you. Or you want to be this person who stood up and fought and be this brave mom that you are? What is that you want to tell your children?
Right.
And that I was like, okay, raised by a strong mom. I know I've fought some battles. It's not like, I really want to tell my kids that they
Right.
have the strongest mom.
See, who is the superheroes now? Tell me, guys, you are watching us, right? Just please comment on our podcast. Who is the real heroes? Everyone in their lives. Yes, Abhi, you are real hero. Tell me more.
I go to one of the top oncologists, and she said, because you're very young, literally barely 40, right?
Yes.
And you still haven't got your menopause. And she told, we don't have good medicine to treat cancer for women who are premenopausal. Even though we can do all these, there is no effective medicine. So she told that remove both your breasts. It's what I would suggest, so that you reduce the chance of recurrence. And then I go read online, and some people say you can do a lumpectomy, right? But still, you carry the risk of the cancer coming back again. So I'm like pulled in different parts of, and nobody's giving me. See, in the US, the treatment is good, but they let the patient decide the
Decide
course
what.
of the treatment, which is
Right.
very stressful, very, very stressful. But the social person I am now is in this shell. I don't want to talk to anyone, right? There are a couple girlfriends that I, shared a little bit of information, but again, they know that I'm going through so much. So there's not much that they can do either.
Right.
So I'm pulled in different directions. And then one day I go to my breast surgeon office. She said, you're just, you're thinking too much, right? Just make the decision now. I suggest you do the mastectomy on the right breast, and then you just deal with things later. Because according to them, they want to take the cancer out as quickly as possible. So my oncologist asked me to go shave my head, because most women go through heavy trauma when their hair starts falling off in chunks. It was very difficult. So I had to go to the hospital and shave my head. And I came home and just cried for 4 straight days. So 2021 summer is when I did the surgery. Until then, I was going through this drama of diagnosis itself, which took a long time, right?
Right.
So 2021, around early summer, I did my surgery. I had 2 months recovery, and then I had to go into chemotherapy. My daughter, she was in her early teens. Um, my best friend's mom did it. I'm pretty sure you can also do it and come out.
Wow.
That's what she kept telling. I don't know where, she had that strength from. My mother, you can tell, right? She is a lioness, she has fought so much. She always kept telling, you have to give your best
See,
fight at this, and
you
you're gonna
have
come.
mom and you have a daughter to, support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my husband, he's very quiet, like I told you, right? He's very introvert, very quiet. Of course, I'm pretty sure he had his fears, but he didn't express. But he was very diligent in taking me to all the appointments and whatnot. And the first chemo that I had, it just ripped me off. It just ripped me off, where I was having all the side effects that was probably mentioned in the book. Like I just became so weak. Like I lost so much weight. I had so much of pain in my body, especially joint pain. I had, diarrhea, nausea. I'm not able to eat. I'm going through huge mood swings. The way chemotherapy works is it doesn't target just the cancer cells. We don't have that kind of advanced treatments yet. It just washes everything on its way. That's how it is. And red devil means it's just so fearful that it will just wash everything on its way. This includes the rapidly multiplying cells.
And the cancer medication is also, we never know, right, how it will respond to the body
Yeah,
system and immune
yeah,
system also. Everyone immune system, everyone like
yeah.
respond the body system is differently.
Different. Absolutely.
So tell me like how, like I know the medications is very, to deal with
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
like when it's to your body
Mm-hmm,
especially.
mm-hmm.
So tell me like what is the side effects you are saying? Like so many you went through and
Yeah,
everything.
yep. So, like I mentioned, for women, right, particularly your uterus shuts down.
Mm.
Your uterus shuts down, and then your rapidly multiplying cells are depleted, which means the cells that are responsible for your hair, nails, your nails become brittle. In fact, I used to have like dark blood clots in my nails. Hair, of course, all my eyebrows, every single strand in my body has fallen off. No eyelashes, no eyebrows, not even a single strand in my entire body.
Mm.
And then I went through huge joint pain, like it's pain, like you are like a multiple scorpions are like pinching you, so much nerve
Ah.
damage, like I'm not able to use my hands and feet properly. I'm not able to eat, and then third day I'm developing fever, and that's a sign that my white blood cells have drastically gone down to a point that I can develop internal infection, potentially leading to sepsis and multiple organ failure and death.
Mm.
So as soon as the fever develops, you need to go take help. So I was rushed to emergency, and even I was a chemotherapy patient, I had to wait in emergency.
So this all treatment you're like taking at home or
So
hospital?
for the chemotherapy, you have to go to the hospital, and what they do is chemo medicine cannot be given through smaller veins. Like typically when you do IV, it goes through the smaller veins, but for chemotherapy, they need to access the larger vein. So
Oh.
what happened was, before I had to take chemotherapy, that's a great question you asked.
Mm.
I had to go through a small surgery,
Mm.
where I can actually show. I do this in all my Instagram feed and Facebook also. So this
Mm.
scar is actually a surgery that they did prior to chemotherapy to access my larger vein, and they put a port. So it's like a
Oh.
device that they will attach
Mm.
underneath your skin, and it will stay on you until the entire chemotherapy cycle is done.
Mm.
So through that, what they do is when you go for your chemotherapy infusion, they will take the needle, right, and poke it into the port or the device,
Mm.
so that the medicine flows through your larger veins.
Mm.
So that is how they give chemotherapy. And chemotherapy is like a medicine that is given through the IV.
Right.
So that's what they do.
But
And then
we dispense the medications with very carefully, especially
exactly.
NIOSH, right? I know, especially for the cancer patients, it's very important and very delicate.
Yep.
Yeah, you're saying right now, I can understand.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. So all chemotherapy patients will have a port that they will keep it on. You have to take proper care, but
Mm.
it will sit underneath your skin,
Mm.
and it will stay there until your entire chemotherapy is done. So I go to the oncologist office, and then it's usually like 4 to 5 hours of an appointment, where before your chemotherapy begins, they take all your vitals, make sure you're stable, right,
Mm.
before they give the medicine. And then during the medicine also, they will make sure that the patient is responding well. And after that, you're typically sent home
Mm.
after the infusion, and you're supposed to isolate yourself. You're supposed to keep the areas around you very clean. You're supposed to eat only cooked food, because
Mm.
your body has very low immunity. So if you eat uncooked food, that can contain potential fungus and whatnot,
Yeah,
then that can become dangerous, a
makes
threat for
sense.
you, right? So
Yes.
you need to eat proper foods, and then the third day um, of the infusion, you're supposed to start taking um, injections that they will give in your abdomen that will actually help build white blood cells.
Oh, okay.
So they'll give you special injections that you need to start giving yourself. So I was doing that. Despite I started developing heavy fever, which means I had to be rushed to the emergency.
Mm.
Um, uh, of course, emergency, you have to go wait no matter what, right? So it's
Mm.
a tedious process. But every single round of chemotherapy, particularly the AC, the Red Devil, I was hospitalized. So I would be in the hospital for a week, where they had to give me medicines and make sure my vitals are above normal for me to come back home.
Very painful
Yeah,
therapies, right? It's not easy. I see people are like going with this cancer therapies, like
yeah,
it's not easy
it's
when they're
not.
saying it's so much pain. Men or women, anyone in their lives,
Absolutely.
everyone went through a lot of pain. Success is not easy. Happiness is also not easy. She's my superhero in our podcast today. So she's telling everyone not to give up in each and every. You see the frame, what she's talking to you. She's never give up. She's keep fighting. Yes, please, Abhi, continue.
Yeah, so the potent nature of the medicine, right? Um, it takes the body to rebuild. For me, it took a month to recover from the first cycle, and then I would go in for the second cycle. Same thing happens, right?
Mm.
Third day, I'm like back at the emergency, hospitalized. Then my oncologist was able to give me another medicine that was a little bit more effective, but they don't prescribe it in the first round itself because insurance, right? Insurance will always need you to take the cheaper available
Yeah,
medicine, a
generic.
generic or cheaper one, until you can go prove that it didn't
That is
work.
also you can choose brand or generic. Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
So then my oncologist wrote for the other one, and then I was given that other medicine, which helped very, I mean, it helped, but not to the great extent. Third round, again, I was back in the hospital, but instead of staying for a week, I was hospitalized maybe 3 days, 3 to 4 days, and then I'm back, right? So this way, I'm like, it took nearly 4 months for me to complete 4 rounds of AC, which is the Red Devil.
Mm.
Then I said, I'm like too weak. I'm too weak to continue the next cycle of chemo. So they gave me a month break to recover. And then my oncologist told me that AC is very hard on most women. She set expectations, right? If you can survive AC, the next medicine you can, do it. Um, so I go start my Taxol, which is the next medicine, and that was supposed to be every week infusion.
Mm.
So I go in, and then my oncologist talks to me about this particular medicine, and she tells me that there are some women who can have allergic reaction to this medicine. It's their duty, right? And then I go into the infusion room, and then 5 seconds into the infusion, I pass out. So I have airway constriction, chest constriction, and I collapse and I pass out right there on the floor. But luckily, my hospital was prepared because some women have allergic reactions. So they called the paramedics right away, and they were able to revive me
Mm.
back. So I was in the hospital for a few hours, and then when I got stabilized, they let me out. But this time, my husband saw this whole episode, right? He's a very quiet guy, very unexpressive. He comes home for the first time ever after my diagnosis. He crashes and cries. He crashes and cries.
Mm.
My mother is crying in the kitchen, and he says, I'm very afraid that I will lose her.
Mm.
And I don't know how I'm going to raise my kids alone.
Mm.
Until then, he didn't say a word. After my diagnosis, he comes with me to all the doctors. He's very quiet, very introvert person. But that day he crashed.
Mm.
He crashed and cried.
Mm.
And for me, now I'm at this mental space. I am I'm like, I don't want to disappoint stopping the treatments, but I'm just done.
Yeah.
I'm just done.
Mm.
Physically, emotionally, I'm just too exhausted. And all I need is a peaceful death. People have seen me, very happy, charming, go around, and they know I was strong because I was dealing with a lot of things as a child.
Mm.
But no one knew what I was carrying inside,
Right.
right? So I needed that. So I started working with her, and she started identifying
Mm.
what I was missing, meaning the childhood trauma that I had never healed. She told me, Abby, there is a 5-year-old within you that is still crying. You
Yes.
never paid attention to her, right? And many kids who have had a traumatic childhood are this way. They lack self love, and that was the first time I heard the word self love. And she said, no, you need to believe in yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to understand and empower yourself first so
Right.
that you start attracting the right people and the circumstances in your life.
Mm.
And she told me that if you have unhealed trauma, you will repeat the same trauma over and over again. So she started coaching me through that, and she gave me exercises, mirror exercises. She said, for the next 3 days, you need to go look into the mirror and say, I love you to yourself. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Somebody has to say that to me. Why would I say I love you to myself? She said, no, you need to do. The first time I went, I laughed and I didn't gather the courage to say those nice words to myself,
Mm.
right? Second time also I ran. The third time she said, no, you need to do it today.
Mm.
And when I said it, I cried. I
Okay.
cried in the mirror. I said, oh my God, like I need to love myself. And that's where the healing begins.
Mm.
I need to understand what my potential self worth is. And then slowly things started turning around, and I gathered the strength, I believe. But my body wasn't caught up.
Mm.
Now I'm having the emotional maturity to continue the treatments. Emotionally, I'm getting strength, but my body is still very weak. My
Mm.
oncologist had to write to the insurance to get an alternate medicine because I had an allergic reaction with Taxol to begin with, right?
Mm.
And they could not prescribe the alternate medicine
Mm.
until they write to insurance that this person had the allergic reaction, and then ask for the alternative, because the alternative medicine is $20,000 more expensive per round.
That is supposed to be done by physician,
My oncologist,
doctors. Yeah,
my
yeah.
oncologist.
Mm.
And the allergic reaction sometimes is death,
Oh my God.
right? So that's how the medical system is, unfortunately. So that's
Mm.
why I keep stressing on patient advocacy. Patient advocacy. We need to do our research, advocate for ourselves. And now the alternate medicine is giving me a lot of neuropathy that I mentioned, right?
Mm.
So now my oncologist is working to reduce the dosage. Instead of 100%, she's reducing it to 80. But still, my neuropathy is becoming worse. She's scaling it to 60. And then at round 9 of chemotherapy, she said, Abby, I'm at 30% right now. And if we reduce this anymore, there is no point in giving chemotherapy.
Got it.
But she said at the same time, if we continue the chemotherapy, it'll permanently damage your nerves in a way where you won't be able to use your hands and feet for the rest of your life.
My God.
So, what do you want to choose?
Mm.
So now, as a patient, I'm put forward a question of whether to be alive. If I need to be alive, whether I want to stay as a vegetable or do I want to be productive.
Doctors are gods, right? Like they'll give options for you what to choose sometimes. They're gods, but I don't know like
I mean, that's how the
what,
system is, right?
they
They
can,
let the patient decide. In a
right,
way, it has its advantages, in a way, it has its disadvantages, right?
right.
Both my oncologist and I agreed that we will stop at cycle 9. And my oncologist told me this means that you are accepting to the risk of the cancer coming back, because we haven't completed the full cycle of treatments. So, according to them, they go by the statistics. They say for this type of cancer, for this particular stage, they need to do surgery X, chemotherapy certain number of rounds, radiation certain number of rounds, and then that will translate to certain number of years of survival, 5 years of
Got it,
survival or
got
10
it.
years of survival. It's all numbers, it's all statistics.
Mm.
For full treatment, this is the number of the cycles I have to give, but because your body is not cooperating, we are stopping half the way, literally. Like, and you need to accept that what if things happen, it might be because of that. And I said, okay, I accept. And we agreed to stop the chemotherapy at that point in
So
time.
you stopped
Yeah,
chemotherapy.
because anything more would have permanently damaged my nerves.
So this is not completely cured. It will come back and you are just taking the medications to deal with it.
So cancer has no cure.
Now you are in like how you are dealing with it, like just to do regular, healthy, happy life.
Oh yeah, so
Like,
but there was more, like not just chemotherapy, right? There was radiation after
mm,
that. So radiation is where they target the area of where the cancer was with
mm.
highly intense. Radiation is localized. It will be focused. You go to the radiation office, and they will map the area where they need to give the radiation. It's a separate appointment that you need to go. So they will map,
Oh,
they'll tattoo the area
interesting.
where the
Mm,
radiation needs to be given.
mm.
And then with guided, of course, it's all scientifically guided, right? They have machines that can precisely point these intense radiation in your organ. So in that room, only you will be there. They put the patient in the machine, and then everybody leaves the room, and it is guided, monitored from a different room. And once the radiation is done, typically, depending on the stage of cancer, the number of cycles of radiation will differ. So for me, typically for majority cases, it will be like 36 rounds of radiation. Sometimes it can be lesser, like if you're identified at stage 0 or early stage 1, it can be less. So for me, it was 36 rounds radiation. What that meant was it will just burn everything in that area. So
Appa.
I had second degree burns. But radiation was fairly tolerable than chemotherapy. I was very fatigued, I was tired, but I was able to, get up and walk around. I was not bedridden like what I was going through in chemo. So some appointments in the early days I drove by myself, and then some appointments my friends would drive me and take me back. Towards the later parts of the radiation, the patient becomes much more tired and weaker. So I was becoming more and more tired, and I was left with like huge second degree burns in the area of radiation.
After this radiation, and when it never stops, right? It never stops the treatment.
No, so in a way, you are constantly on top of it, right?
Mm,
But yeah, radiation was a bit more tolerable. It took few months for the skin to heal and new skin to form.
mm,
Um, um, it's very difficult that you cannot put clothes on top.
right.
It leaves you very badly burnt and bruised. So there
Mm,
was a time, I would just be at home, unable to go out and whatnot. But my hair started growing back slowly, and my hair was, coming back coming back curly, and it had a different color and texture because the
mm,
chemo medicine hasn't worn out yet.
mm,
So I was literally looking like a very old woman, honestly. Not saying in a bad term or anything, but I was looking completely different. My son would ask me, "Why are you looking like a old grandma? You look older than grandma. What happened to you?" He didn't know what I was going through, right? He knew
right.
I was just sick. Then I would tell, "Yeah, mommy is just sick. I will feel better and be better soon."
Right.
Right? Because there is so much stress, there's so much uncertainty. The kids also are processing so much that you don't know, so I had to involve my kids in few sessions as well. And then you at times I've seen in the support groups women getting divorced when they are going through such painful treatments because their husband no longer sees them as sexually attractive. This is truth, plain truth.
Mm,
It happens, so many cases, and already they are dealing with a life crisis. But now their partners are divorcing them straight in their face, or their partners start cheating on them. Now, I've seen so many women coming out of painful divorces and starting to deal with their lives alone. Thankfully, I had, my husband was there with me, my mom was there, my kids were supportive, they were all like backbone for me,
touch
right?
wood. God,
Absolutely.
God chose you to be, show your life as a hero, how much you did, and He gives you a beautiful family also.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So that way, I know my husband. Even though he doesn't talk, he's not like me in many ways. He will be there through the journey.
Mm,
So that was happening, and then after my radiation was done, now I am at this crossroad of this point where many women are struggling to decide. There's another decision point, right?
mm,
So now doctors here heavily recommend that you go keep silicone implants, so that you have breasts with implants. You understand what I'm saying? So you
little
have you
bit.
have removed the breast tissues as part of your treatments. Some women can just choose to live the way they are disfigured, right? It takes a lot of strength, so they can just live with it, or they can do silicone implants. I was not ready for either, because why go with another option where I have to do multiple surgeries that can make me even more sick? Now that's when I think I was at this emotional state where I was ready to talk to some people about what I can do further. Um, an incident happened in my life at that point in time. I want to call out, I in my neighborhood there was an elderly woman. She heard through someone that I was going through these treatments.
Mm,
She comes barging into my house one day because she wanted to talk to me or something. She puts her hand on my chest without my permission and starts frisking. And she said, "Oh, I heard that they removed something from you because you're going through this breast cancer treatment and whatnot." And she started frisking me. I was caught off guard.
Amma, Amma, there are so many Ammas in this world. I know you have so much love and concerns for others. The feeling is not at all acceptable and positive for any woman.
And that incident just crushed me like so bad with what I was dealing with already. And I have not come out, right? I've not met people. I'm still healing and, figuring out how I want to come back into the world. And this lady does this thing to me, which turned out to be a great thing, honestly. Then I gathered my strength and I started doing my research and I started joining support groups. And I learned there is a new surgical technology called deep flap surgery, and it's
Okay.
pretty new. It's been around only for less than 10 years. Not many people are aware of it. It's very expensive, so you need to have good insurance actually to do that. So I started talking to people, and then one of my cousin connected me to another woman who had gone through that journey, and she told me, Abby, you're just 40, you have much more life ahead of you. You, in order for you to get this self esteem back, you told me how what that lady did to you impacted you, crushed you. You need to go and do something where it'll put you back much more stronger. And she told me about this surgery, and it was a year long surgery actually, where it's a new technology. They take the tissue flap from your abdomen, which is very close to the breast tissue,
Mm.
and they actually transplant it on the areas where the tissue was removed. So it's a huge surgery actually. It needs hospitalization and 2 months of bed rest
Oh
initially.
no.
And that surgery I did, I knew it was a very painful surgery. It was a 14 and a half hour surgery, microsurgery, and only very select surgeons in the area do it. Thankfully, I got into touch with one of a great surgeon in Virginia Mason. He was extremely good. It was a year long of surgery because it's not done in one surgery. Your body
Mm.
needs time to heal and adapt. This is almost like taking organ in transplant, right? But it's your own tissue. So it was done over 4 different surgeries with healing time in between. And then when the final surgery was done, I started feeling, very comfortable in my own body. Yes, I had plenty of scars. My radiation marks were still there. I'm still recovering from tiredness and whatnot. But I am much more stronger. And the first time ever I said, Abby, you're so beautiful.
You are beautiful.
At that point in time. Until then, I never looked at myself. I never said those words. Now, when I said it, yes, I had a lot of marks. I had a lot of scars. I am disfigured, disformed, whatever. But I'm absolutely beautiful.
You're perfect.
I'm absolutely beautiful and perfect. And that's when I started coming out. I started writing about my journey on Facebook. I started meeting people. I started doing awareness talks and campaigns within Microsoft. And I'm very open. Even now, you wouldn't believe, Usha, when people meet me and talk about my journey, they come and ask me, hey, are those real? But I happily answer, yes, they are all my body. Whatever it is, it's my body. I am honoring and accepting my complete myself, right?
Yes.
And it's me.
Mm.
And I explain in medical terms in terms of what decisions I had to make,
Mm.
right, to bounce back and to be healthy. And now on tamoxifen, and that medicine is something that I have to take daily. So
Mm.
it's not over, right? So I have to do that for 10 more years. I'm on tamoxifen daily. It has myriad of side effects again. And what it does is it completely shuts down estrogen on your body. So you have to deal with whatever the body has to go through with no estrogen.
Mm.
And I have blood work that needs to be done every 3 to 6 months, and I have to go through mammogram every 6 months, and then I have to go through MRI every year. And I have a oncologist that I work with, and then I have my primary care physician, and then recently I started working with a naturopath as well, because my immunity was slightly impacted after I fell sick with influenza a couple months back. That's when we were supposed to do our first podcast, by the way. So now I'm working with multiple doctors, and then I'm very regular about hitting the gym, my diet, my sleep, most importantly, my emotional health.
This is called self love.
Exactly. A lot of women do not realize that emotional health play a huge part in our health.
Right.
Yeah. So in fact, Louise Hay talks about a lot of different diseases our body can get, and she correlates that it's not random. It's usually the baggage that we carry within ourselves that impact a particular organ. The body is so intelligent that it manifests the disease at the right organ, that it gives you a signal, hey, you have a problem, please address it, right? And this is the signal I'm giving you. If we don't listen to our body, we don't catch the signal, it becomes too late.
Right.
So for the breast cancer, the trigger is women who don't love themselves, women who don't nourish themselves. So breast are organ of nourishment.
Oh.
We nourish others, but it's us, it's the organ that represents nourishment. So these are women who keep giving love to others, keep on giving, people pleases, but they don't receive the love back. They don't take care of themselves. These are women who get breast cancer. And why right breast versus the left? The right breast is masculine, right? The right side of the body is masculine, the left side is the feminine. Now, if you connect my life history, I didn't have proper masculine support throughout my journey. Like, my father who was absent, I had fear of abandonment. And then things that I had to navigate alone. My husband was there. He's very sweet. I talked about it, right? He's very quiet though. So a lot of things I had to be in the forefront, spending the masculine energy too much. And I dealt with my son, right, in a way for his health condition. So in a way, I was spending a lot of my energy around the male relationships, and that connects to the right side of my body. Women who have had troubles with their maternal side, right, with mothers, with sisters, typically develop issues on the left side of the body.
Mm.
There is a connection. So the and she lays out, Louise Hay talks about these different emotional baggages that we carry and how they are connected to the different organs, and then how to heal them by saying positive affirmations, self love, saying you love yourself, taking care of yourself, putting yourself first. Because at the end of the day, if they say you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? If you are
Right.
empty, you cannot pour. If you want to take better care of others, you need to take better care of yourself.
Right.
You need to love yourself first so that you attract people that love you.
Right.
So these are things that Louise Hay coached me. So I do that, and a lot of healing has happened, over the last couple of years. And I still practice it today, and I share it with all of my friends as well. I write about it. It's very important. I cannot emphasize the importance of it.
Mm.
And again, if you have any particular disease, right, of course you need to take the right medical help, but at the same time do your research. What emotional baggage are you carrying? Have you
Right.
addressed it? Heal them first so that the healing happens holistically, completely.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, Abhi. So we had a very, very nice conversation today. Like, we gave a lot of information to my audience also. And it was so good to, listen each and every phase in your life. So tell me what makes you happy. I want to see in your life what is the happiest moments you live.
Absolutely. And I define happiness as a journey, right? It's not that one thing. Definitely my family, my kids, my husband, my mother, and the family that we have definitely brings more joy. And I'm thankful every day to see my kids grow up and be part of their life. And also, I do give back
Mm.
to communities, right? So I help other parents with their kids, and breast cancer survivors and the communities. I do awareness talks. I want to equip them with information ahead of time, because information education is empowerment.
Right.
So that gives me happiness. The events, the network I make, meet other souls like you, like God
Yes.
brings into our life. And
Right.
I would have never thought I would be sitting down in a podcast like this, chatting with you about what all happened in my life. And you are like so thorough,
Thank you.
so thorough. So this is my happiest moment,
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that this is your happiest moment. And today is one more blessing day, and thank you so much, Abirami Ayer. And she's so sweet and nice, and she's a fighter. If you want to call her, she's a fighter. No doubt about it. And thank you so much for coming today, Abhi, to my podcast and share
Thank
your
you.
journey with us. So, you already watched your podcast. You're already showing your love to us. Thank you so much. Keep loving like this. Please do subscribe and share with your dear ones. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Usha Talks. Life is beautiful.